5 years ago, I now consider shallow. And I'm not going to waste any time bashing those people. I'm just going to be the more that they're looking for. Man, I've had so many great encounters, man. Oh my gosh. God has been so faithful to me. He has never let me down. He has never let me down. People ask me all the time, how do you get invited to all these churches? I'm telling you, from radical encounters. I minister at this massive mega church in Peru, South America. Holy Spirit every year just completely blasts the place. How did that even happen? I prophesied to the pastor at a Moe's in Florida. Didn't even know who he was. I'm sitting in a booth and the Lord gives me a word for him. I walk right up to him. The power of God falls on him. He gets slain in the spirit. I'll never forget it, right at the entrance to Moe's. He's like, give me a business card or something. He calls me 6 months later and says, dude, I'm a pastor in Peru. We've got to have you. I'm in Jerusalem in May 2014. I walk up to a pastor. I didn't know he was a pastor. I delivered him the word of the Lord. He says, hey, give me your contact information. He contacts me a few weeks later and he says, hey, I pastor a mega church in Michigan, an Assemblies of God church, and when you prophesied to me, it brought a spirit of conviction upon me. He said this to me, I've been shutting down the movement of the Holy Spirit in my church for years because I was wounded by a prophetic word when I was a young man. And he said, because of your faithfulness to step out and you don't even know who I am, I go up to this church in Michigan last year, and he says, I can't say prophecy or prophet because they'll totally reject you. So he introduced me the whole weekend as an evangelist. Dude, I'll never forget their bulletin. It had my face on it, and it said something like, Dynamic Conference Communicator. That's how they twisted my bio. I'm like, okay. It was a 5-service in one-day church. Preached 5 services. The first 4 were back to back to back to back. And I really hardly, honestly, had any time to minister there, but I knew that God had given me a word. I remember after the 3rd service, I had literally time for one word, and I'm just scanning this crowd of 4,000 people, and the Lord pointed one girl out, and I asked her to come up, and very simply, I just said, the Lord